Hi everyone, this is Cheryl and welcome to my sewing room. I'm going to demonstrate how to make this really pretty table runner. Now you often see this pattern in quilts. It's called the coin quilt block or method, and I'm going to use a jelly roll to make mine. I use this pattern a lot when I make table runners. It's really easy, goes really fast. Okay, let's get started. You'll need the following supplies for this table runner. You'll need one jelly roll. That's where you get your strips from. You can get jelly rolls on Amazon.com, quilt shops, quilting websites that sell fabrics. You can get them at Joann Fabrics and Crafts. There's fabric.com, equilter.com. So jelly rolls are readily available. You also need fabric that's going to be on the back and it's going to wrap around the edges over to the front. You will need 1 1/8 yards. You're also going to need a piece of fabric that will not be seen. It's the fabric that you're going to stitch these strips on. So just use plain fabric. You can stitch scraps together. You just need to create a piece that is 13 inches wide by 60 inches. Make sure that it's not a busy print or that it's dark, that it'll show through your jelly roll strips. So keep it as plain as possible. This is the jelly roll that I'm using. It's got, 2 strips of a variety of colors. There's a few where there's 3 strips. So you want to look at your jelly roll and see if it's got the variety that you want. If it doesn't, because I had a viewer who asked me that question, she was disappointed because when she opened it, it didn't have the variety she was hoping for. You can always combine several jelly rolls. You can even cut up some strips of fabrics you may already have and add it to the pile here. So go ahead and open up your jelly roll and spread your strips out. Here are all my strips. As you can see, I have quite a few different colors and patterns on my strips. Out of each one of my strips, I'm going to cut 2 13-inch long strips. I have stacked 2 of my strips at a time. Now the one end down here was a little wrinkled, so I did press those ends out. So line it up and place your strip right up on one of these lines here and pull this end over here past this 0 line and cut your selvage edges off. So make sure your ruler is going straight along this line right here and trim the selvage edges off. Then move your ruler over to 13 inches and then trim it off. And do that with all the pieces that you want to use in your table runner. I have just finished cutting all of my 13-inch long strips. Now cut a piece of fabric that you're actually going to stitch the strips onto. Since my table runner is going to be 60 inches long, I'm going to add 4 inches more to that length. So I'm going to still cut it 13 inches wide, but 64 inches long. Now you can piece together scrap fabrics if you want, but try to make it as plain as possible and make sure that this fabric is not going to show through the jelly roll strips that you have selected. At each side of the table runner, put a mark where 2 inches is from here and just kind of go across a little bit, and no one's going to see your marks, so it doesn't matter if they're pretty or not. Okay, now take your first strip and place it front side up along your little marks right there. Take your second strip and bring it face down on top and line up the edges here. Then go ahead and place a few pins to hold it in place all the way across. After you've got it all pinned on, then you want to go ahead and stitch 1/4 inch from this raw edge of your strip all the way across. After you've completed stitching, then with your iron, press on that seam on the back side. Then unfold and press on top. Take your next strip, place it face down on top of your strip that you've just stitched on, pin it down, and after you've finished pinning, then go ahead and stitch 1/4 inch along here. You're going to continue that process until you get all the way down to the end of the runner. After you're done putting on your last strip, you want to check to make sure you have about 2 inches at the bottom. Now I came up a little short. That's not a problem. But if you have more than 2 inches, go ahead and trim that off. Put your 2-inch line on your ruler on the edge of your last strip and then trim anything off that's down there at the bottom. The other thing you might want to go and do is, my edges are jagged. I've got lots of little fabric strings sticking out, so you can just place your ruler on there, making sure you're still keeping it 13 inches wide across here, and just begin trimming off anything that's sticking out that you don't want there. Next step is to prepare the fabric for the back and the border of the table runner. So take your fabric and leave it folded in half, selvage edges together. And then you're going to cut your piece of fabric in half. So find the middle and then go ahead and cut it in half. Now bring the two pieces of fabric together. Have your selvage edges together along one side. Now you're going to trim the selvage edges off. So line up your fabric and cut. Now you're going to take the two ends together, make sure they're front sides together, pin along this edge, and stitch 1/4 inch seam all along here. After stitching this seam right here for the fabric on the back, go ahead and press that seam open. Then take your table runner and fold it in half and place the fold line right over that center seam and center it in the width of the fabric for the back, and then lay it all out. Now place some pins to hold it together along the center area so that it's out of the way of your cutting ruler, and we want to make sure that it all is holding together and not going to slip and slide around. Next step is to cut this excess fabric off at the end. So here is my table runner. This is the backing fabric that I had for stitching all the strips together. You're going to go out 2.5 inches from the edge of this. So line up that 2.5 inch line right on there. Make sure everything is straight in all directions. And then go ahead and cut this off. Then go to the other end of the table runner and cut that one off. I'm going to give you some suggested decorative stitching that you can do on this table runner. Now this particular pattern, you'll see it in the quilt world, and it'll be called coin quilt because it's just strips that are stacked together like coins. So that's what this is. So I usually like to keep my decorative stitching really simple because this can be very, very busy. But I want some type of stitching so that I can hold this back piece on and it still looks very, very nice. So as you can see, I've shown you these decorative stitch patterns before. You can just do straight stitching, going across one way, turning and going another way. Not my favorite for this particular table runner. Then you could go at a diagonal. Not bad. That would be a second choice for me, or a third choice I should say. Then you can use the serpentine stitch. These are just okay. My favorite is just the serpentine stitch, but going in kind of a different pattern than what I usually show you. So let me go over what I'm going to do on this particular quilt. Here's the first strip that is stitched on. Let me get this out of the way. I'm going to start in this corner, and I'm using my serpentine stitch, and I'm going to go over 3 strips but down this way, and I'll stitch down to here. When I get down here into this seam here, I'll leave the needle down, lift up my presser foot, turn the table runner, and then lower the presser foot and begin stitching again, and go over 3 more and wind up here. And then again, needle down, lift up the presser foot, turn the table runner, lower the presser foot, and stitch down over 3 more. And you're just going to keep going up and down and up and down. And just one more thing to help you while you're at your sewing machine doing this stitching is roll the table runner up like this, and it's going to be a lot easier to control the table runner while you are stitching. I just finished my first round of doing this zigzag stitch, and so I wound up down here. So take it out of your machine and set it up to start in this corner. And you're going to repeat that same pattern, but now you're going to find that your lines are going to crisscross. So you're going to go over 3 strips again, turn the table runner, go over 3, and you're just going to zigzag across. I tried to find a place that you could get an overall view of it, but my thread is not that dark because I wanted a very subtle green in there. But this shows you in the center there on that pink strip where the lines do crisscross each other. Next step is to trim this to where it is 2.5 inches from this raw edge here. Go out 2.5 inches and trim any excess off that you may have. And it's really helpful if you use one of these long 24-inch rulers. So I've got a little bit to cut off. So do this on both sides of the runner. Now I'm going to show you how to make this mitered corner. It's not difficult, but you need to take your time. On your ruler is a diagonal line that goes from corner to corner. So I've put a little post-it right on my line right in here. Right now, as I'm laying this ruler on top of my table runner, it's crisscrossing the seams. It's not straight with the seams. So I'm first going to turn it to where this diagonal line is going straight across this way. So look at one of your seams. If it looks like it's crossing it, you're way off. So get that going straight across this way. Now go over here to this corner, and you're going to move the edge of your ruler out 1/4 inch past this corner here. So you're going out that way, still maintaining your diagonal line going straight across. So now I'm almost there, and I'm verifying, rechecking everything. Then once you've got it lined up, you're going to cut this fabric off. So go ahead and cut. On each side, fold over your raw edges 1/4 inch, and make sure your 1/4 inch is the same all around the table runner. Make sure your 1/4 inch isn't too wide. Keep it what I call a scant 1/4 inch. Do not fold this edge over here. After you've done your pressing, then fold these corners together like that and line them up. Bring these 2 sides together over here. Place pins to hold, and then stitch 1/4 inch along here. After stitching the corners, then turn this front side out. And you probably will have to go in and poke at the corners just a little bit. Remember, never poke too hard with these pointy things because it could go right through your fabric. And that's what your corners should look like when you are done. After your corners are all stitched and you have it turn it front side out, go to your ironing board and fold this edge over to where you feel it hitting the side of these strips here, and just press this edge right here all around. It's going to make it easier for you to do the pinning. After you've got it pressed, then go along and place pins along your edges. And place pins all around so that the fabric does not shift while you are stitching. After you have placed pins all around, then you're going to stitch real close to this edge here around all four sides. For more projects using jelly rolls, go to the green screen at the end of this video and click on the links. If you enjoyed this video, please click on thumbs up. Also, click on share to share this video with your friends. And if you haven't subscribed yet, click on that red subscribe button down there in the lower right hand corner of your screen. Don't forget to enter your email address and click on that little bell notification so that you receive emails about my latest video. I'm Cheryl. I'm so glad you came to my sewing room. I'll see you next time, and happy sewing!